All right, and we are up. All right. All right. How are we doing? All right, that's popping up. All right, cool. All right, so a little bit of a different video today, a little bit of a different stream if you guys are coming in. We are going to be taking a look at some of the new builds and stuff. And if I say this wrong, I apologize. Cephalopacalypse. I think that's how you say his name. Cephalopacalypse just dropped a new patch 8 Fun Tierlist. And if you guys saw yesterday, we went ahead and had the final, of our honor mode playthrough. We had the final chapter of that. And we went with the Hexblade Warlock. We had Swashbuckler Rogue on there. And then we had a couple other ones, Paladins, another Warlock build that was on there that was a little bit more heavily skewed towards Paladin. We had just a few different ones. And so when we did that, it was fun to start a new character. Usually, as we all know, we're Gloomstalker Ranger. We like that because you can go in and out of battle, Dark Urge, just very much the standard. So it was fun to kind of break out of that and get into a new one. And at the end of last night's stream, we were talking about, okay, well, should we try a different class? What's new? Should we do an origin playthrough? Should we do a challenge? Should we look at all the mods and stuff that the community has? And I started thinking about it today and was like, we don't actually, we probably shouldn't go through all the mods because we haven't actually gone through all the subclasses. We actually haven't gone through all the other ones that have been there. So it just happened to be, gosh, it was hours ago that he posted out a video that I popped up YouTube, and it was like, hey, patch 8 Fun tier list. Which ones are funnest? Which ones are the best to go through? So I figured we would watch that today, take it easy, kind of see what he has to say about each one on there, and then see if he's right, because we have played quite a few of these ones. I'm curious to see his opinion. He is very much a stats kind of guy, it seems like. When it comes to, like, if you ever watch one of his videos, I guarantee you, if you're watching this right now, you've watched one of his videos. You've watched all of his probably. Where it comes to, all right, you can, scale up, this type of class, multi-class it in this is the equipment you need. This is what you need to be running, all that kind of stuff. He's very good at knowing exactly what it is. Our builds, a lot of ours, like, they don't end up following the exact same trajectory, but they usually get started from one of his videos. If it's like, oh, I get the concept of what he's talking about. And then we end up missing half the gear because we don't stop and actually do most of the side quests or anything like that. So we'll kind of see what he has. Let's go ahead and I went ahead and pulled it up. Okay. And then maybe at the end here too, maybe we can go through and maybe we can start a playthrough, or we can at least go through and try to create the character ourselves, go into an older one where we're actually a little bit leveled up, or we can just start up brand new with maybe one of his recommendations or anything like that. So let's go ahead, let's kick it off and see what we got here. We're going to start off with this criteria. I think it's good to hear his because he says it a lot better.
Now, I've already covered this in the previous installments of this tier list, but let me quickly just remind you what I find fun in a character and how I'm rating these characters within the different tiers. So what I look for in a subclass is I want to make a lot of interesting decisions throughout the game. I like it when a character enables me to do different things in different combats and to make strategic decisions that feel impactful and relevant. I don't particularly care about having the most powerful character or the biggest numbers, although
We care about having the biggest numbers and the most powerful. I'll say that right now. We usually care about the biggest numbers because those ones are the funnest to me. When you actually are confident in your character. If you're confident in your character, it makes it more fun because you're like, all right, I'm going to get into this fight. But that being said, sometimes if it's a one-shot deal, I think we saw that a little bit with Gloomstalker. If it's a one-shot deal, it ends up not being the funnest. So I see his point.
So, of course, that helps a character do the thing that it's trying to do. I care more about whether that character can execute on the concept of the subclass in a way that's satisfying and fun. I like characters that change their gameplay over the course of a playthrough, and I like it when things can go wrong and force me to adapt to evolving situations. In S+,
Something I've learned. Sorry, I'm pausing. Something I have learned off the last one. Exactly what you just said. When things go wrong. Things go wrong all the time on there. I'll say it right now. The biggest enemy in the entire game are doorways and freaking platforms that move. Doorways have ruined playthroughs for me, and platforms that move have ruined playthroughs for me. So, two biggest enemies in the game are right there. But if something goes wrong, you have to be able to adapt and go. You can have a great plan, but the fun part is trying to figure out. It might take me a long time, but the fun part is trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And you're like, okay, if I do this, the character does this. I do this, then I do this. And if you have a plan to get out of whatever the situation is, I am glad that he said that because a lot of people think that, oh, I play this way and that's just how it comes out. I think that I've learned that the more that you play through it and the more confident you get, it's like, all right, here's my plan. Here it goes. Instantly goes to shit.
Tier, I'm placing characters that fill all of these criteria. Their core gameplay is incredibly fun, and it evolves as you play. In S tier, I am placing characters whose core gameplay is really fun and who do well at filling the role that you want them for in your party, but maybe there are balance issues or the gameplay loop can become sort of samey over the course of a long playthrough that hold them back from being as satisfying for me to play as the characters in S+ tier, though these are still incredibly fun subclasses. In A tier, I'm placing characters that are still really fun, but maybe come with a drawback. Either there's a significant balance issue or an interface issue that makes them a little less fun than they should be, but the core gameplay loop is still really good. In B tier, I'm placing characters that are always solid and a good time, but maybe not standouts. You're gonna have a good time playing them, but maybe they won't be the character that you'll remember 10 years from now. And in C tier, I'm placing characters with a significant issue with their gameplay that holds me back from having as much fun with the character as I feel I should. I've decided to rate the 12 new subclasses in isolation to avoid
the ones that aren't fun? No,
visual clutter from the old tier list, but I will combine them in
Monk. Drunken Monk. I thought was going to be awesome. Unless he has a specific build for it, it is boring as hell. It is not as much fun, and it is so stressful to try to get to work.
Into the old tier list at the end of the video, and also make a couple adjustments to some subclasses who have gotten more fun with the launch of patch 8 because of having new options. So I'm going to move a couple classes around at the end. And other than that, let's just get right into it. We're going to start with Path of the Giants Barbarian, which is a subclass that I have somewhat mixed feelings about because it is so incredibly cool. Raging and becoming enormous is just conceptually really cool. Boot of the Giants kicking enemies around the battlefield is great, and infusing your weapon with elemental damage and then hurling it at your enemies is just a really fun and satisfying idea for a class. On the other hand, it runs into some of the mechanical issues with some of the systems that it uses in Baldur's Gate 3, which are pretty prevalent across a lot of characters. So Giants Barbarian is a character that's really, really cool, but because of some mechanical oddities, I think isn't quite as fun to play as it maybe should be.
Introducing Amiya.
YouTube getting just egregious with ads.
Let's start with the good stuff. Boot of the Giants is just one of the most fun and most satisfying abilities in the game. A bonus action to just kick an enemy across the battlefield is just so fun. Being able to reposition enemies is always great. And Boot of the Giants is one of the best ways to do that. It lets you use your athletics to just kick an enemy in the face and send them flying, which is...
Isn't this new one, this Barbarian, is this the one that ends up, what's that, like suplexing or whatever? I think it's like the one where it flips over backwards. Unless that's a different subclass of barbarian. I don't think it is, but let's see.
Exactly the feeling that you want to evoke when you're playing a character like a Path of the Giants barbarian. You want to get huge and you want to punt enemies around. Growing when you rage is awesome. Getting bigger is just funny visually and makes you feel really cool. And you can combine it with other effects that increase your size to make a gigantic owl bear and stuff like that, which is just really fun. Keep an eye out for a build based around that as well. On the other hand, Path of the Giants Barbarian is a little bit weird in Baldur's Gate 3 because it is a throwing-focused barbarian subclass, and we already had one of those in Berserker Barbarian, and throwing in Baldur's Gate 3 is implemented in a kind of janky way that's a little irritating to use. Firstly, it requires multiple clicks every time you want to attack because you have to select throw and then select the thing that you're going to throw, which is just annoying as an interface design choice. I really wish there was a way to like quick cast throw so that you could do it in only one button. And secondly, you're often going to be trying to draw line of sight when you're throwing a weapon through, because it throws in an arc through a low ceilinged area or something, and getting the can't draw path to target message over.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. When it comes to throwing stuff through a doorway, it's a simple doorway. The doors are wide open. Somehow, some way, we can't actually do it. It's the most infuriating thing about the game. I almost lost it on stream the other day because of that. Like I was genuinely pissed off. We were on the Raphael fight, and I was genuinely pissed off because there's a wide open door, and he was standing in it. So I couldn't hit it from one side, and I couldn't hit him from the other side. Just had to waste a half an hour trying to figure out other moves so I didn't die. Made me very mad. So throwing stuff, I'm kind of out right now. I'm not the biggest fan.
Burned over and over again, which is just frustrating to do. Combine that with the fact that this that throwing in Baldur's Gate has significant balance issues because of their house rule for Tavern Brawler, meaning that throwing characters basically can't miss their attacks and do way more damage than they should, which is compounded for Giants Barbarian because on Tactician mode and below it's bugged and applies the damage riders multiple times over, so it does even more damage than it's supposed to, and you get a character that ends up just doing too much damage and one-shotting enemies with no chance for missing or anything like that. You don't get to play the game as much when you are playing a throwing character. On the other hand, being able to use Elemental Cleaver to apply elemental effects at range by throwing a weapon is just awesome. Having your greatsword crackling with lightning and then gaining lightning charges as you throw it is just a really cool phenomenon.
Elemental Cleaver. Elemental Cleaver. What is this? Elemental Cleaver. Channel Primordial Might into your weapon until the end of your rage. Okay, so you have threw out an entire rage. Your weapon will deal additional acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder damage, and gain the thrown property. So it doesn't have to be a throwing weapon. If thrown, it'll immediately reappear in your hand. That's why we use the returning pike. That's why we use Nyrulna. Like, that's why we use those weapons for like Karlach when we do this build. Does it say how much damage at all? Probably just depending on your level or whatever it is. Okay. I mean, that's pretty cool. You could probably... I wonder if you have to imbue it or whatever. Like, you have to choose one. Because if you have to choose one and then just like work with that, then that's okay. But if you are able to choose each time which one you imbue it with or whatever, I think that's even way better. But that's probably a little bit overpowered. All right. Just wanted to see what that was.
And being able to use Encrusted with Frost, as in the Giant Barbarian build that I presented, to freeze enemies by hitting them over and over again with your weapons at range until they become frozen, that's just great. There's a lot of stuff to really love about this class, but the janky mechanics definitely have some issues. I will also say there's something that I'm a little bit disappointed by, which is that one of the cool things about Giant Barbarian should be throwing weapons that normally aren't throwing weapons, because you can use Elemental Cleaver to give them throwing and returning. And that should be really cool, letting you use weapons with cool magical effects and throw them at enemies. But unfortunately, it doesn't work in Baldur's Gate, because in BG3, unless a weapon specifically applies its effect when thrown, throwing a weapon never applies the magical effect of that weapon. So you can't do cool things with Giant Barbarian, like hurl the Susur Greatsword at Mage and silence them from across the map by impaling them with a giant sword. I think that is kind of a miss, because that's one of the things that would be so cool about including this class, that can throw weapons that normally can't be thrown. And unfortunately, in practice, you end up using the same, like, 5 throwing weapons that you've been using with every throwing character since Baldur's Gate 3 launched.
Okay, so we were wrong. So it's just a base weapon. It gains the thrown property, but if it's a battle axe, it's a battle axe. It's a longsword, it's a longsword. It doesn't matter what it is. I think, okay. That would also make it boring, because then you just find your favorite weapon, because you're like, oh, well, this is the one that does the most damage. It's going to be a cleaver every single time, or it's going to be a glaive, or whatever it happens to be. What's the giant big old ones? Halberd or whatever. We probably just choose whatever does the most damage and then be good with it. Okay, I understand what he means.
Welcome to paradise.
Thanks,
Our Amex
YouTube.
Platinum card got us here.
Aggressive with these ads.
I really like Giant Barbarian. I think that it is a very fun class. I think it's conceptually really cool, and I think it is fun to play, but I really wanted to love it, and I think that it is missing just a few things that would make it incredibly mechanically satisfying. And there's some interface and balance issues with throwing characters in general in Baldur's Gate 3 that unfortunately hold this character back a little bit. I'm going to give it A tier, because it's really fun, especially if you play off-meta builds and don't lean into the throwing stuff as much. But it doesn't quite land as the core class fantasy that I wanted it to have. Next up, Glamour Bard. So this is probably the most controversial class in patch 8. You either love it or you hate it. There's a lot of people who think that it's terrible from a mechanical standpoint, and they're wrong, but it is a pure support class, so you have to be aware that that's what you're getting into when you're
I'm gonna listen to that again real quick.
playing a Glamour Bard. Pure people who think that it's terrible class in patch 8. You either love it or you hate it. There's a lot of people who think that it's terrible from a mechanical standpoint, and they're wrong, but it is a pure support class, so you have to be aware that that's what you're getting into when you're playing a Glamour Bard. I think that this class is at its best in a multiplayer environment, actually, because you can play support for your friends, especially if they're a little less experienced with Baldur's Gate 3, and enable them to do really cool things while helping them along without stealing the glory, so that your friends or partners or parents or young children or whatever can do all of the things that they think are coolest.
Based on what he just said, I don't think we'll do a Bard playthrough, because what he just said is, this is a fun tier list. What he just said is you don't get to have any of the fun. You just get to make sure that everybody else doesn't die. That's what I heard.
And you can help them along. Glamour Bard lets you do a lot of really interesting stuff in combat. The ability to use Mantle of Inspiration to charm enemies without a saving throw is really cool, and enables you to do a lot of really fun moves where you move an ally next to an enemy and deliberately provoke an attack of opportunity or redirect enemy aggro in order to get that charm effect so that you can land a no-save debuff with Mantle of Majesty. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of no save debuffs in Baldur's Gate. I think that anything that bypasses enemies' normal hit chance or saving throw tends to not be fun because it tends to mean that you don't interact with the fight in a meaningful way. And that's definitely a risk with Glamour Bard. Enemies that can be charmed and commanded, you can charm without a saving throw. They just have to hit one of your inspiration allies and command without a saving throw. And once you've done that, the fight's over with no interaction from the enemies at all, which is definitely
Okay, just for knowledge purposes, I do want to hear back what he said, because
charm
That
without a
sounds-
saving bard. Enemies that can be charmed and commanded, you can charm without a saving throw. They just have to hit one of your inspiration allies and command without a saving throw. And once you've done that, the fight's over with no.
So if you have inspiration with one of your allies and they hit one of them, you can then charm or charm and then command them, or charm and command them, or command them. Maybe you do both, or maybe you do one. I'm just thinking about that for maybe one of.
Interaction from the enemies at
Maybe
all.
we
which
use
is
that
definitely
tactic.
A downside. On the positive side, it's a little bit of a riskier strategy because it is Mantle of Majesty is concentration, so you can lose it. And Mantle of Inspiration requires your ally to get hit, so you are at least engaging with the enemies insofar as they have to make attacks. But that definitely, if you are using this character optimally, you're going to interact with the game a little bit less. Bards at base, of course, are just really fun. Having all of the skills is
I
great.
disagree.
Being able to support your allies is incredible. Bard spell list is really fun and enables a lot of creative gameplay. And I think that the tactical puzzle that Glamour Bard gives you is always going to be a really interesting one from fight to fight. Although it will tend to look quite similar between fights, and a lot of the time what you're doing is bypassing the most interesting boss fights in the game by completely turning them off without a saving throw with Mantle of Majesty. As a result, I'm going to give Glamour Bard S tier for fun. I think that it is a really fun character.
To remind you that 60%.
I wouldn't agree. Everything that I heard on that one is somebody else is having fun. And I won't say that support characters, because I've heard this a couple times, where support characters are just like everybody says, oh, well, you play a support, but you're still impactful. You're still doing great and stuff like that. We're talking about having fun. It is not as much fun to play a support character as it is to play somebody that's going around wheeling and dealing and hitting off spells, hitting off shots, hitting off, big old damage and stuff like that. It's just not as much fun to do that. Also, I think that I have the mentality coming at it as if it's a single player game and you're by yourself, you're not playing that character. That character is helping all your other players play. To put it above to put it above the Barbarian, well, it'd be pretty damn hard to do a solo with the Bard character. It would also be hard, but you could do a solo maybe even better with the Giant Barbarian. That one would be a lot easier than the Glamour Bard to it. I wouldn't put it as S as far as fun. I don't. If that comes down to one of our decisions that we're going to be playing it, then we're going to invite some other people to play, and maybe one of them could take it, because that's not. No, I'd probably take it if somebody else was playing with it. If somebody else was playing with me, as a paladin or something, I might take Glamour Bard. Just for that command and stuff, that the charm and everything, make it a little bit easier on them. So I can see it being fun, but not S. It's like an A or B tier.
Of Majesty not having a saving throw and ending fights instantly does mean that you will sometimes run into fights that are less fun than they should be, because Glamour Bard just locks down the main enemy in that fight in a way that's not terribly interactive. Next up, Death Clerics. So I love Death Clerics. I think that this is a great class, well implemented in Baldur's Gate 3. The main downside of playing a cleric is that often in combat you won't have a thing that's good to do on your turn, and you'll have to sort of settle for an action that feels a little bit bad, something like a Sacred Flame that has a good chance of missing. Obviously, there's all the Shadowheart memes with missing Sacred Flames all the time. That's because often it's not the right move, but it's sort of the only thing that you have because you've spent your spells for that combat, and clerics by default just don't have great actions. Death Cleric fixes that problem because you always have the option of double casting a great cantrip in the form of Toll the Dead or Bone Chill, and that's always a really relevant thing to do. So when you don't have something more exciting to do, you're still contributing, which means that there's no turns that just where you just feel useless or like you're not doing anything in combat with that character. Death Domain Clerics also have Touch of Death, the Channel Divinity spell, which allows you to have huge burst damage, and that's just satisfying. An enemy getting too close to your cleric and just getting melted by an Inflict Wounds with Touch of Death just feels really good. It doesn't happen every turn, so it doesn't become monotonous, but every time it happens, it just feels so funny and so satisfying that it's really nice to be able to do that. There are a couple downsides to Death Cleric. Their domain spell list is pretty weak, and so doesn't add a lot of variety to their gameplay compared to just normal cleric spells, but normal cleric spells are plenty to have fun with and have different tools for lots of different combats. And there is one minor interface issue for Death Clerics, which is that Divine Strike and Touch of Death both use the reactions menu, even though neither of them is actually a reaction. And so you can't use them both on the same turn, even though you should be, or in the same attack, even though you should be able to.
Throw it in the trash. That's it. It's not on the same interface.
Which is kind of annoying. That's not a big deal, but it is a minor downside of the class. It also falls, I think, at a very good power level, Death Clerics, because they're a little bit weaker than Light, Tempest, or Nature Clerics, which are probably a little bit on the too powerful side, but stronger than the other clerics, so they fall at a really great point for balance, where they feel like a strong class that contributes really well to your party, but doesn't break encounters entirely on its own. Overall, I think Death Cleric is an incredibly successful and fun class to play. You get to be, a necrotic goth running around, very flavorful for Shadowheart as well, and the class does a great job of implementing the power fantasy for Death Cleric.
Necrotic goth sounds appealing. I am putting that on the notes. Necrotic goth. Emo. Shadowheart. Tonight will be the night that I will stab a Gith. All right.
S+ tier.
Good. This damn ads. How many ads do you get, YouTube? This is ridiculous. They have been so aggressive with these lately. All right.
Star Druids. So Star Druids, I've said before, are like Druids, but more so. And Druids are great. Star Druids do everything that you want from a Druid, but add the starry forms, which let you choose a mode, which you can swap whenever you spend a wild shape charge, in order to have a little bit of a bonus effect. Druids are already, in my opinion, an incredibly fun class, with a lot of varied tools that could fill pretty much any role in a party. They have great spell versatility and combat versatility, and are very powerful without usually being so broken that they just ruin the game entirely.
If we think back of what was bad with having Jaheira as the Star Druid on our playthrough last night, we're at the end of our playthrough. We have a bunch of level 12 characters. We get a level 12 Druid. The biggest complaint that I had, there's no range. There's like, you have to be jumping on top of people. You have to be running around. You have to be like, you go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And if the combat is spread out at all, you're just not as impactful as you need to be. If it's one big target, maybe that's a lot better. But if there's a lot of little targets all around, or a lot of medium-sized targets, it just didn't work for me. I didn't enjoy it as much.
And Star Druid continues that theme by giving you even more emphasis on cool things that you can do. which story form you pick is a meaningful decision that you're going to change at different points in the game and for different encounters. And when you level up and get the higher level starry forms, it becomes really fun because you can freely cycle between them once per turn. So chaining the pattern through to make sure you're always in the starry form that you want in order to get maximize your abilities becomes a really interesting puzzle.
So we were just
Star Druids also get Guiding Bolt, free casts of Guiding Bolt, which is a great spell for a druid to have. Single target direct damage isn't something druids normally get, so it gives you another tool in your arsenal, letting you be a real jack of all trades character. And they also get an analog of Lorebard's Cutting Words with their omens as they level up. And Cutting Words is probably the single most fun ability in the game because being able to change die rolls as a reaction is just really cool. So the fact that Star Druids get to do that as well is awesome. I think that the one downside of Star Druids is just that they do so many things so well that they can sort of eat the role of other characters in your party. But because their abilities are so unique and varied and interesting, there's always going to be a place for a Star Druid in your party that you can fill with other characters also getting to shine. And so I think Star Druids are just a phenomenally successful class. I basically have no complaints about Star Druid and think that they're an incredibly fun character to play. S+.
Okay. Star Druid is a possibility. Don't care if I spelt that right or not. It's a possibility. I think that actually I'm almost going to call it and say it's not a possibility for our next run. I did not enjoy Cleric, but he mentioned the one biggest thing was that you can wild shape into other shapes every single turn. We didn't do that at all because I didn't know that you could do that. So we were an owlbear just running around doing bullshit. I think maybe it's a lot funner if you have a lot of other things. I will say they have a lot of really cool, like, different things to do. So you never really get to, you don't ever really get to play, unless you've played a druid, like, through a full playthrough, you just never see their powers anywhere else. So it could be good. Maybe not for us right off the bat, but maybe we get, like, Halson to join the party or something, and then we level him up.
The Arcane Archer. So Arcane Archer is conceptually incredibly cool. Firstly, Magical Archer is a lot of people's just like favorite type of character to exist in a fantasy game. And I think that the power fantasy of a Magical Archer is just a really cool thing and something that doesn't really otherwise show up in Dungeons and Dragons. So having Arcane Archers exist, lets a type of character that previously wasn't available be played, which in and of itself is very cool. I also think that Arcane Archer's design in Baldur's Gate works really well. There's 8 different Arcane Archer arrows, and all 8 of those arrows are balanced and fun and interesting with one another. So you can build an Arcane Archer in a lot of different ways and have a character that's quite unique from the previous way that you built Arcane Archer. Which arrows you take is actually a meaningful decision as you level up. And which one do you use in combat is also, at least sometimes, a pretty meaningful decision as well, because the different arrows have a lot of different efficiencies in different situations. So you are going to change what you're doing depending on the...
I feel like I'm being targeted. We've had like 10 different ad rolls on this and it's only been 10 minutes. And this is a 15-second ad.
That's especially true when you combine it with the magical arrows that exist in the game to give you even more options. So Arcane Archer can often have very different effects while also dishing out great damage. So you get to put up great numbers as well as doing really cool things with your archery arrows. The one downside there is that, unfortunately, you can't use the magical arrows and your Arcane Archer abilities in the same shot. And it does feel a little bit like a flavor failure for the Magical Archer not to be able to use the magical arrows. Not being able to infuse a magical arrow with your own magic does feel like it does kind of take away from the power fantasy of the class to do all of these cool things at the same time.
Wait a sec. Looking at the list, like if we look at this one here, Enfeebling Arrow. Use necrotic magic to deal an extra 2d6 necrotic damage. Target must succeed a saving throw or become feeble. I get the becoming feeble part. This is just an Arrow of Ilmater or whatever, right? Like that's all that is. All the other ones are, I mean, poison. We have poison arrows. That's normal. Deal additional poison damage. Affected movement speed is reduced by 3 meters. And it'll take slashing damage when it moves. I mean, that's different for that grasping arrow, but I feel like there's other stuff that might do that one. Banishing is kind of like a banishing spell. But I guess, do you do damage to it too? Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't look like you do because it doesn't say. The other one is Psychic Charmed, Psychic Blinded. So they can either be charmed or blinded, but you're doing psychic damage. These other ones are force damage. And then what is this one? Piercing Arrow. Use transmutation. Each target must succeed a saving throw, be dealt additional. I don't think I know what this, am I just not understanding that right? If I'm wrong, tell me, because this one here just sounds like, okay, they're vulnerable to piercing damage and it's 1d6. So an average of 3 points of damage more than what you would normally get. If you can combine them with arrows, then yes, but I don't think I like that. Sorry.
But in practice,
I didn't mean to get distracted off of his video. I was looking at that and thinking like, oh, like that makes it a lot less fun. There's one arrow I think that I would really, really like, which was the Seeking one, which is it goes around doors and stuff.
So you're going to end up using them often in different situations anyways, so you will still get to make really cool and interesting decisions using the magical arrows available. There are, I think, 2 other things that are issues with Arcane Archer, and that is that they are just a little bit too stable. The resource that you use to fire your arrows is so abundant that you don't really have to consider resource management. And the impact of firing your arrows, both in terms of the damage output that they do and the effects that they have, is very high and present in every combat. So Arcane Archers can tend to be a little bit oppressive in terms of turning every fight into the Arcane Archer Fest. They also basically can't die because they're a fighter, and being a fighter who fights at range and uses dexterity and all of that means that you have super high armor class, you're a fighter, so you've got really good hit points, and you're playing at long range, so Arcane Archers are rarely going to ever feel threatened during a game, which does reduce some of the drama. The other main issue with Arcane Archer is Banishing Arrow. Banishing Arrow is a balance problem. It is way, way too good because it simply removes enemies from combat. Banishment as a 4th level spell is already a great spell. Banishment as something that takes half, or in the late game, a third of an action.
I see that, but I'll let him finish.
And also does a bunch of damage, or in the late spell is already a great spell. Banishment as something that takes half, or in the late game, a third of an action, and also does a bunch of damage at the same time, and is almost resource free because you get so many arcane shots over the course of an adventuring day, just obviates a lot of encounters. So many encounters when you have Banishing Arrow on an Arcane Archer are just going to be the Archer banishes half the enemies and then kills the other half, and enemies will never get a turn because they're going to be either dead or banished by the time their turn rolls around. So you never have to really react to what the enemies are doing.
It's got to be better than a Glamour Bard. It's got to be better than watching an ad from YouTube. I don't know what is going on with that. I have to like reload.
Arrows I think are really, really fun to use, and Banishing Arrow, if you use it a little bit more sparingly, is also a really fun ability. It's just that it can start to take over combats because it is so powerful. So I'm going to give Arcane Archer S tier because I think that it is just a super fun class, very successful at the power fantasy that it is portraying for the player. And aside from one small balance issue with one ability, I think implemented extremely well in Baldur's Gate. Next up, Drunken Master Monk. Oh
Sucks.
boy. Okay, so I spent a lot of time during the stress test and the beta talking about how this class needed a significant rework before launch. It got a lot of changes, and those changes were for the better, but to be honest, they just didn't go far enough. Astute viewers of the channel will have noticed that I've done a class guide for every one of these new subclasses, except for Drunken Master Monk. And I'm still working on that one, but I haven't really found a great way to build this character that doesn't end up just feeling like a discount open hand monk, because they do very similar things, but the Drunken Master Monk does everything significantly worse. This character, or this subclass, has a lot of design issues and sort of self-defeating choices where its abilities are at war with itself that make it feel very just awkward to play. It definitely has some good points and there's some fun things about it, but there's just enough issues with this subclass. This is weird and kind of didn't have to be this way. It would be so easy for this to be an activated ability that consumed an alcohol in your inventory rather than triggering passively. Just a strange choice to make that interface. This is fine. This is into the sort of hit and run play style that this character is supposed to have. The main challenge with this ability is that it is kind of a discount version of what Open Hand Monk gets, because Open Hand Monk gets the ability to knock enemies prone or backwards with their flurry of blows, which does the same thing, because it's going to remove the enemy from being able to opportunity attack you anyways. So Drunken Master Monk just gets kind of a worse version of Open Hand Monk's abilities. That in and of itself isn't a deal breaker, obviously, and this ability is still fun to use, but it does feel a little bad, especially because as both unarmed damage focused monks, there's kind of a natural comparison there.
I wouldn't rank it high, and I think that this is kind of that inventory management taken to the opposite side. You have to make sure that everything is perfect, everything is set up right. This thing is drunk and this thing isn't. This thing's good and this thing's not. And that's not fun for me. Like, that's not fun playing the game.
At level 4, you get Intoxicating Strike, which by itself doesn't do anything. Party, which they at level of the party, which gives and the reliable hit. So there's always,
I don't think it's worth it.
Already something that is really easy to lose and sobers up your enemy, so it costs you a bunch of key points for a very small amount of damage. Much better to spend those key points on Luck. Is a totally fine ability, although a little bit lackluster as a level 11 capstone. For the most part, this class just has a lot of abilities that fight against themselves. So it ends up in practice playing out where you just use Drunken Technique to disengage and you just do your punches, and occasionally you get a redirect attack punch, but mostly you're just playing an Open Hand Monk with without the Open Hand Monk abilities and with no real abilities from Drunken Master. I really feel like this character just needs a redesign. Now, obviously, the base mechanics of Monk are still very fun, and running around and punching things is just a great time. So
we tried speccing out a Drunken Master Monk or whatever it's called. It did not go well. Like, okay, yeah, you get 1 or 2 hits, and then it just went to crap.
You can still definitely have fun with this character, and I really don't mean to yuck anyone's yum here. If you're enjoying your Drunken Master Monk, great, and please let me know what you think is so fun about it, because I would love to find the fun for this subclass. It's very possible that I'm just missing something that makes it fun in a way that I hadn't considered.
You're not.
As is, though, unfortunately, I haven't really been able to find a role for this class that makes it enjoyable to play for me, so I'm going to...
And that's saying something. If he hasn't been able to figure out a role for it, nobody else on the internet has.
To give it C tier. Oath of the Crown Paladin. So Oath of the Crown Paladin gets to be a radiant warrior of justice, which is just a cool class fantasy, and it fills that very well. It's nice that you get to be a more support-oriented paladin with healing and taunting abilities and to tank for your allies, and it's nice that you get to use the radiating orb gear and effects that care about radiant damage because you get to be a paladin who has spirit guardians, so you get to use all of the radiant stuff that often is reserved for clerics as a paladin, which just is both very fun and very powerful, and a thing that this character gets to do in a sort of unique way. There are a couple things that I am not a huge fan of with Oath of the Crown Paladin.
This is what we chose on our last
some of these people have definitely run into, which is that It is very easy to accidentally break your oath on this
We broke
character
our oath.
because
That's
just
what it
like with
was.
every other paladin, there are dialogue choices that will break your oath. And for Oath of the Crown Paladin, breaking promises breaks your oath. And what the game considers a promise is not always 100% clear. I've said previously that I don't like that in Baldur's Gate 3 you can accidentally break your oath, because that should be a decision that your character, who's devoted their entire life and purpose to this creed, makes only with moment and weight and consequence. That should be the climax of their story, is making a decision that they find so morally important that they have to violate this magical pact that they've devoted their entire life for. It shouldn't be something that happens by accident just or due to a misclick, and it's very easy for that to happen, especially with Oath of the Crown Paladin, and that just feels weird, and like it always breaks my immersion whenever something like that happens. And definitely this is something that can happen even more frequently with Oath of the Crown than with other oaths. There's also a mechanical issue with Oath of the Crown Paladin, which is the level 7 ability Divine Allegiance, which does radiant damage to your own character. So if you're using the Radiating Orb abilities, you're going to debuff yourself, which is just a weird way to implement that ability. And I think it would be better in general if they had just kept the tabletop implementation where you just redirect the attack from an ally to yourself, rather than doing this thing where it heals the ally and then damages you based on your paladin level, which is a significant house rule from the tabletop version of the class. Those two quibbles aside, though, Oath of the Crown Paladin, I think, is just really fun. You do a lot of damage, you've got great controlling tools, and being a paladin running around with spirit guardians and smiting enemies is great. It's going to be kind of the same thing from fight to fight, but that thing is just really fun to do.
This is what we chose. I'll see where he puts him. No, we'll watch another ad. This is my first time using Opera GX for this, just because it's easier with OBS just to program one window into it. But this is crazy. Are you not allowed to pause a video or something? Is like that what triggers it? If you pause a video and then play it, it just automatically goes to another ad. Into a 15-second one. You got 20 seconds of ad every single 3 minutes.
A tier, because I think that it tends to.
I think A tier matches it. Yeah, we've had half an hour and we had like probably well over 10 to 12 ads on there. So we're getting one every 3 minutes. We're getting another ad. Sorry, not about that. It's about that tier. Okay. A tier, I would agree. Multi-class it with the Hexblade Warlock. Now you're talking.
Feel a little samey to me, and there are a couple things that hold it back, but it is still just a pretty fun character that I really
We finished
enjoy
at
playing.
an Oathbreaker
Swarm
Paladin?
Keeper Ranger. So this is exactly the type of class that I really want to like. It has 3 different swarms, each of which has 3 different abilities, which sounds like a lot of choice. But unfortunately, because you only choose your swarm when you level up, and those 3 abilities are the same across different swarms, some of them don't work because of some kind of mechanical issues, you're going to end up doing the same thing pretty much every turn in combat. Now, that thing is very fun, especially if you choose Bee's swarm. Then punting enemies around the battlefield by pushing enemies backwards with the swarm of bees is great.
Yeah.
And anytime you can reposition enemies, it lets you feel clever, it lets you do interesting things, and it lets you have a lot of fun. Swarmkeeper Ranger also lets you play a debuffing archer, which is kind of a cool archetype that normally doesn't exist in Baldur's Gate 3, although I think that for most players, if you want to do that, Arcane Archer does the same thing, but with more optionality and more powerful debuffs as well. Swarmkeeper Ranger also has a couple other issues, which is that the Moth's Swarm, which should be the most powerful of them, blinding enemies, doesn't work in Baldur's Gate 3 because of the way that effect durations work in Baldur's Gate. Enemies lose blind duration at the beginning of their turn. So when you blind an enemy for 1 turn, as you do with moths, they become unblinded right at the beginning of their turn, which is pretty frustrating because you don't actually get the debuff that this character is supposed to provide, which obviously is both much less powerful and also just much less fun. And I think a lot of people, myself included, used that ability thinking it was going to be cool, ran into that and went, what? really? And then decided that we're just not going to use that swarm anymore because it was very frustrating. It also
only
kind of
does it until
doubles
the
up
end of
on the
your
ranger
turn?
problem in general, which is that rangers don't really get any new abilities from level 3 to level 11. So your character at level 10 is exactly as strong and as interesting
Very
as they were at
multiclassed
level
rogue.
5 when they got extra attack, which of course every martial character gets. So you really don't change that much over the course of the 12 levels. Your capstone ability is really fun. Getting slow on every arrow, or getting to knock enemies prone and push them around is great. Anytime you can reposition enemies is great and really fun. So I really do enjoy Bee's Swarm, even if it's not the mechanically most powerful of the swarms. But Swarmkeeper Ranger, I feel like, just plays the same over the 12 levels. And while it's always going to be fun to play, it rarely stands out to me. I'm going to give it B tier for the Bee Swarm. Swashbuckler Rogue. So Swashbuckler Rogue, similar to Swarmkeeper Ranger, gets 3 main abilities, but these 3 main
At the detriment that we're gonna get another ad as soon as I unpause this. If anybody wants to put money on that one, the Swashbuckler Rogue, one of my favorite ones. This was in our honor mode that we just finished up last night. This was one of my favorite builds because of the flick of the wrist action that you have. Being able to really, we hyper focused on Asterian's build. We went with what? Piercing damage. We gave him all the ballast armor, the double dollars. We were enchanting his weapons, giving him bows, equipment, everything to make it big. And we were averaging because they get sneak attack on everything. We were averaging around 200 points of damage at the very end of the game. Towards the end, late game, after we're 12 and after we've gone through all these quests, a character that on one hit will do around 200 damage as a Swashbuckler Rogue. That was insane. Are there better optimizations? Probably. But this is funner, being able to go, take somebody's weapon, use it against them, like in one of the other rounds or something. Like anybody like has, who was it? Flynn. Was it Flynn? Who has the big, is it Flynn? The one with the, that you get up by the top of the map at the very beginning in Act 1. He basically, he has a tadpole and stuff that you have to get. And that character, I hate how his flail ends up beating the crap out of you and stuff. And we were able to use this ability and disarm him. And I was like, oh, that's what this character does. Got it. We just took somebody that's very dangerous and disarmed them. So I love this character. No matter what he says on this, I think it's a great one. I think it's an S+1 to have in your party. It's tough to do as the main character by yourself, but have them in your party. I think it's great. Our next run that we do, if it's not a solo one, we're probably going to also have a Swashbuckler.
main abilities you can use all at once, and so you're going to change which you're using from turn to turn. They just take a bonus action, and you can disarm an enemy, blind an enemy, or cast Vicious Mockery. Typically, disarming or blinding an enemy is going to be the way to go. And the Swashbuckler passives let you set up really cool in-combat scenarios.
I've been dealing with dark spots my entire adult life.
As I'm saying it, I think I know why. We're doing this on Opera GX instead of Chrome, but I'm not logged in to anything.
Attack isolated scenarios. Let you set up really cool in-combat scenarios.
Blank spitting them out.
Swashbuckler rogues get to sneak attack isolated targets. They get to hit and run enemies because they get automatic disengage against enemies that they attack. They get to disarm enemies. They're rogues with effectively extra attack because you get an attack as a bonus action. And rogues have such a huge bag of tricks already that it was really just the relatively lower power level of rogues that made them a little bit less fun to play. Swashbuckler Rogue, by virtue of being a little bit stronger than the default rogue chassis, brings them up to an appropriate balance point and makes them an incredibly fun character. Swashbuckler also multi-classes really well. 4 levels of Swashbuckler Rogue works really well with a lot of other builds, and is a great monoclass character, unlike most other rogues. So you can do either.
12.
It doesn't get a lot of abilities past level 4, but Panache at level 9 is also really fun to use, and the
Never
core
used.
gameplay loop of Swashbuckler is so fun and changes so much over the course of the game just based on the equipment that you have and the enemies that you're facing and the buffs that you have from your party, that I think actually not getting many new abilities from the class mostly doesn't matter, because the way
That's
that this
actually true.
character plays out in practice really changes over the course of a playthrough and really
Yeah, we started off as an archer and then ended up being a melee fighter.
makes you think through what you're doing. I
Oops,
think this
paused.
character succeeds admirably at the core fantasy of a swashbuckler, a character who is using their panache and style to dance around the battlefield and clown on their enemies.
And you don't
And
get
also,
opportunity attacks.
from a mechanical standpoint, you're just making a lot of really interesting decisions every turn. So I think this character is one of my favorite martial characters in general, and a character that's just overall really, really fun to play. This is the play pattern that I really wish Drunken Master Monk had succeeded in creating, where you're doing cool things, running around the battlefield and positioning yourself so enemies can't retaliate, picking off isolated foes, and using your slippery nature to get away so you can act unpredictably. I think that this character is just excellent and always a blast to play. S+ tier. Shadow Sorcerer. So Shadow Sorcerer is a super cool class. It's similar to Star Druid in that it's like Sorcerer, but more so. So it's great as just a default Sorcerer. But it also gives you a lot of the darkness synergy that's such a powerful strategy in Baldur's Gate 3. The
Shadow Sorcerer?
Hound that you get at level 6 is really fun, and while summons can sometimes be a little bit irritating to control in BG3, the fact that this one is resummonable just costs you 3 sorcery points, so if it dies it's not that big a deal, although it will make you feel sad. Does mean that this one suffers a lot less from some of the issues that can plague summons, with the positioning just being time consuming and requiring a lot more effort from the player. Because this one's so cheap to summon, you can afford to be a little bit more careless with where you put Nimbus. I also really like the mini game with the omens. When Nimbus bites an enemy, he places an omen on that character, and then if you do the appropriate damage type, either with the sorcerer or with someone else in your party, you regain a sorcery point. And arranging your party so that you have every damage type available and convenient so that you can regain resources in combat is just a really fun minigame. It doesn't come up as often as I would like because the save DC on the omens is really low, so you have to kind of buff Nimbus with some effects in order to make that more likely to happen. But it is still a really fun minigame to play when it comes up. And at level 11, Shadow Sorcerer gets to teleport freely to any area of darkness, which of course is awesome when Shadow Monk gets to do it, and just as awesome when Shadow Sorcerer gets to do it, and feels like a really powerful and meaningful capstone. So getting to level 11 and unlocking this ability just feels great. The one downside of Shadow Sorcerer is just power level. Sorcerers are already extremely powerful in Baldur's Gate 3, and Darkness is one of the most abusive strategies in the game, entirely turning off some classes of encounter.
We did the Hexblade. No, we did the Warlock. Okay. I was going to say, we didn't do there wasn't Hexblade Sorcerer, it was Hexblade Warlock. Is what we finished up with. We haven't played a Sorcerer yet.
So a sorcerer that both abuses darkness and also just is a sorcerer and gets a really great summon and free teleports is just a little bit too high on the power level side. They also suffer a little from a very narrow spell selection, so unless you multiclass with Wizard or something like that to get extra spells, you will end up spamming the same few very powerful spells over and over again because you just don't have that many spells available as a Shadow Sorcerer. So while I really love this class's core gameplay, I do feel like it can sometimes get a little bit repetitive and it's a little bit too powerful, but I'm still going to give them S tier because Shadow Sorcerers are just a really, really fun character to play, just a little bit high on the power level scale for my taste.
From relieving roughness...
Shadow Sorcerer.
Warlock. All right, so we're going from a character...
Okay. Before we move on to him, Shadow Sorcerer. High on power level. Good. Hound. We love poppers. We spent all of our inspiration last playthrough trying to get a random dog named Sparky to come follow us. So that'll be on my list. Okay. All right. I agree with him.
Character that's a little bit too high on the power level scale to a character that's a lot too high on the power level scale. Hexblade Warlocks are awesome. They're really fun character that can do so many different things and enable so many cool builds. Getting charisma based attacks on other characters makes them a really awesome multi-classing option, and they let all kinds of characters have access to weapon attacks that normally wouldn't otherwise. But it has to be said, Hexblade Warlocks are broken. This character is just so absurdly powerful, and it can do everything so incredibly well that it really eats the roles of a lot of other characters in your party. In fact, the main issue with Hexblade Warlock, it's sort of like the opposite of Glamour Bard, where it's really at its worst in a multiplayer environment. Because the main issue with Hexblade isn't that you won't have fun playing the Hexblade, it's that every other character in your party is going to feel worse just because the Hexblade is there. And so that can end up really being oppressive or making your experience playing with a party overall a little bit worse, because the Hexblade ends up just doing everything. This character does so much damage, has such great crowd control, and has such powerful abilities with darkness and such great defensive abilities that it is just incredibly powerful. But it is also true that what it's doing is really, really fun. Having amazing damage output, playing a character that can do both martial and spellcasting stuff, and being able to control the battlefield with your extremely powerful spells, getting the free summons that just spawn across the battlefield and cause chaos, all of these things are incredibly fun. It's just that Hexblade is extremely powerful. The best thing about this character, honestly, is how many different builds it enables, where you are able to build a class that normally wouldn't be able to use melee attacks effectively, like a sorcerer, suddenly can become an incredibly potent melee character with only a single level of Hexblade Warlock. It also lets you build charisma-based paladins, charisma-based sword bards, and all kinds of other really cool builds just by the existence of this character. And while it is true that it makes a lot of builds feel a little bit weird because there's just no reason not to take one level of Hexblade for most builds, for most melee builds, the depth of builds that it enables just by existing is really cool. Playing a monoclass Hexblade Warlock is also just super fun, and sometimes you just want to play a super powerful character. So I'm going to give Hexblade Warlock S tier. I think that it is way over the power scale and definitely could use some scaling back in terms of its numbers and just the sheer variety of things that it does better than any other character. But being able to do everything really well is also really fun.
I think that anybody that's playing that class or multi-classing into it, Hexblade, anything, Hexblade Paladin, Hexblade to Sorcerer, Hexblade into Assassin, or anything into Rogue, or Ranger, Gloomstalker, trying to get all these different combinations and stuff like that. Awesome. And I think go for it. It has a lot of stuff to do. I will tell you right now, you're going to find whatever works and you're going to repeat that. You are going to Booming Blade everybody. Like, that's what it's going to be. You're going to Booming Blade, Eldritch Blast. Booming Blade, Eldritch Blast. If you can get the Arcane Acuity stuff, great. I think that will work for it, because then you can do the whole person and then you can, build out the party a little bit better and everything. Most of the time, though, you find out it's not even necessary to have somebody doing Arcane Acuity to get, good holds on like big bads and stuff like that. So because of that, you just end up not even going down those other paths. You just do straight damage and you do Booming Blade. I mean, that's what we did. And we played a lot of hours. We probably played like 40 something hours of this thing. So I would agree, but so Hexblade Warlock, Oath of the Crown Paladin, Swashbuckler Rogue, That's what we have experience in. We've done those 3. Hexblade we've multi-classed from, and Oath of the Crown we had until we broke our oath in Act 2. So we ended up finishing as an Oathbreaker. We were going to switch back over, but completely forgot. And then had Minthara class into it or something. So we know our crap when it comes to these, or mainly just the Swashbuckler, Hexblade, Warlock, and yeah, I'd put them up here. I'd put Hexblade probably up in S+ though.
And finally, Blade Singing Wizard. So the Blade Singing Wizard is a melee caster, just like that Hexblade, but it's a little bit lower on the overall power scale, and because it's a wizard, tends to have more varied spell access, so we'll be making more different decisions as to what spells it's casting. The Blade Song Climax ability, aside from just having a very funny name, which I obviously like to say as many times as possible, is really fun to...
He's going to talk about having funny names. Cephalopacalypse. I tried saying that name 5 times today, and I've done it right maybe just that once.
To build around. Building up Bladesong Climax charges and then unleashing them in the largest possible climax is a really interesting tactical puzzle to play through, and making sure that you're using your spells and attacks efficiently in order to get the most out of your climax is the thing that makes this character fun to play. It's also a wizard, which is always just going to be fun because wizards have the largest list of spells in the game, so they have the most options for doing different and interesting things in combat. There's a couple things that are a little bit weird about Blade Singing Wizard. The first is that it is a resource-based class, and you start with only 2 uses of Bladesong, which means that you are often not going to be able to use your core class feature in a fight, or are going to have to rest pretty frequently in the early levels. It's very similar to Barbarians, who also only start with 2 rages. However, unlike Barbarians, when you aren't blade singing, you are still a wizard, so you still have really fun things to do and lots of different choices to make, whereas when a Barbarian's not raging, you're just a Barbarian with worse numbers, which just feels bad. A blade singing wizard without blade song is still a completely respectable character. The other thing is that often the right way to play this character is just to cast spells and sort of ignore the melee combat aspect of Blade Singing Wizard, or to abuse Shadowblade, which is a real balance problem. The balance issue with Blade Singing Wizard is that they get access to Shadowblade and extra attack, and Shadowblade combos with the Resonance Stone to double the damage that it does, meaning that it's very easy to build this character to wildly overpower encounters by doing way too much damage. So I actually find this character much more fun if you don't use the Shadowblade Resonance Stone combo, because then you just kill everything in a couple swings, and it kind of removes the purpose of the character. So I've had actually a lot more fun using weapons like the Duelist Prerogative, or things like that, in order to get multiple counter spells and really feel more like a spellcasting wizard, and less like a character that just uses haste and hits many times over for maximum damage with the Shadowblade. Other than Shadowblade being a little bit broken, though, there's just no downsides to Bladesinger Wizard. I think that this is a really fun character. Wizards are already great, and it does a good job of making you feel like a sword wizard dancing around the battlefield, using your sword, and then bursting enemies down with an incredible burst of climactic magic. S+ tier for the Blade Singing Wizard.
Oh, okay. I thought he was saying like, oh, it's too powerful, so we're not gonna like have at it.
So here you can see the overall list for the patch 8 subclasses, and I think overall they did a really good job with these subclasses. There's a lot of S+ and S tier classes, and I think overall these subclasses are incredibly fun to play, and I really have enjoyed building and playing with them. Swashbuckler Rogue is especially awesome to me because it's a martial character with so many decision points, so it's sort of like playing all the solidity and power of a martial character and the decision making of a spellcaster, so you really get the best of both worlds, which I think is a really incredible design. A couple classes that didn't quite hit the mark for me, but overall I think a really good job with the patch 8 subclasses. And finally, I mentioned also that I would integrate the patch 8 subclasses into the overall tier list so that I...
Dang. Those are all the subclasses?
Put together in the last 3 videos. So here it is, and I have a couple changes to make because the launch of patch 8 did make some significant updates to some of the older classes, so I think they're worth revisiting because they've gotten more fun. 2 in particular have benefited from the addition of a spell in patch 8, and those are Eldritch Knight. Yes, this is the Eldritch Knight icon. There's a bug in game where it swaps the Battle Master, which is the flag, and the Eldritch Knight, which is the flame icons. But this one's the Eldritch Knight icon. And I put Eldritch Knight in B tier because it didn't really feel like a magical fighter to me. Well, they've added Booming Blade as a cantrip, which goes a really long way towards making Eldritch Knight feel like a magical fighter. And you can also use Shadow Blade with them, where summoning a magical sword also helps fill that class fantasy. On the other hand, of course, they have become extremely overpowered as a result of Booming Blade, so I'm going to bump them up 1 tier to A tier.
Of course. We can't have nice things. Not at all. Okay, but before he actually goes into that, I want to look at those other classes again real quick. Okay, where do we end up at here?
Character with so many decision points, so it's sort of like...
All right, so if we're talking here, let's see if we can pull this one up. Man, sites are getting weird with ad blocker. They are getting weird. Okay. All right, I guess we can't even go. We can't go to the tier list website right now because it says I have ad blocker, but I don't actually have it on here because that's just crazy stuff that happens. Okay, we can't look at the website without subscribing right now, and we don't have an ad blocker on there, which is absolute BS. I mean, we do it on here. Oh, it lets us do it on here, but it wouldn't let us do it on just regular Google Chrome. All right. These are all looking different. We'll just do it on here then. Okay, so looking at his list, this is crazy on that one. I think I have too many windows open now. Okay. Looking at his, we have what? Death Cleric, Star Druid, Swashbuckler, Bladesing up here. Down here, you have Hexblade, the sorcerer one, arcane ranger. I forgot which one this one was. Is this the one? Oh, this is the glamour bard on there. Big barbarian, the giant one, oath of the crown, bee's knees, and the drunken monk. Of these, I think the glamour bard one should be dropped. I think that one should be dropped from like S to A or B. It could be fun if you have like new spells and stuff like that. Yeah, we could drop it back down. Oath of the Crown, you will not make it a playthrough. Like, you won't make it an entire playthrough as Oath of the Crown Paladin. You will be an oath breaker by the end of it. There's that, like, it sucks. Trying to figure out, like, if you're on the side Googling, like, okay, well, how do I not break my oath? Oh, I can't do this or this or this or this. Then you know it's not as much fun. If every decision that you make in the game has to be based on that kind of crap. Like, I completely agree with him. When it comes to it, it's a big decision. It's a big thing of breaking it. It's changing your class. One dialogue change, and all of a sudden you don't have all these proficiencies and stuff that you used to have. It's something completely different. I think that's kind of broken. There's probably a mod out there that like doesn't let you break your oath or whatever, which would be pretty cool. If there's not, make it, because I think that'd be a good one, because then you can keep that throughout the whole game. I think you just like reclaim your oath. I never actually did it, but I think there's an option to. And then the bees, the whole blindness thing not working, that kind of makes me completely agree with him. Star Druid, I guess you have to play a druid to know, and I haven't played the Death Cleric either, so I don't know if that's a good call or not. Sounds like a good call, because I do like Cleric. I love Spirit Guardians, especially when you hit the Underdark and all of a sudden you're just you're just dashing. What's your attack? You dash and you run through the middle of all the shadowed ones, like the first ones that you encounter, and just kill everything along the way. Or the birds attack you whenever you go and find that one dude and you have Spirit Guardians on. They just go and everything just dies around you. It's fun as hell. But not something that we've experienced on the channel. But okay. I would agree. I might agree. Definitely agree. Definitely agree. I would put this up in S plus. Haven't tried it, but I'm interested in this one. I think this one S. Okay, I would probably move it down to A, based on what he said and what we just looked up with the different arrows. They're not that special on the arrows, except for the ones that like go around doors and the banishing one. And what else did we put on our notes for that? Because on my notes, you guys can't see it, I don't think. On my notes, we have nothing on them. That's all right. Oh, that's what the Shadow Sword did. It has the puppies, has the hound. Can play with that. I'm down with that one. And then the bees, you can knock people prone, but the blindness only like works for the duration of your own turn. See, you know what that was? That was a glamour bard put me to sleep. Death Cleric. Oh, necrotic goth. That sounds appealing too. Okay. All right. I would venture to say I agree with your list.
All the solidity and
Mr. Cephalopacalypse. I think that's it. Here. Because I believe in it. Even though it hit an ad. give it a like. Oh, I'm not subscribed to him. No. I'm surprised I wasn't even subscribed to him. Maybe I just do it offline. If you guys have a chance, go check out his video. Like, his videos and his builds are where we get most of our information from. 100%. Like, he's a very knowledgeable. I think even before that, he was on different games well before, like, Baldur's Gate, and was like giving out information. I watched one of his videos on a game I didn't even play. I didn't play the game, but I was watching his video going, holy crap. Like, oh, I think we can optimize this. And I think we do this. I can't even remember what the game was, but it was something that I wasn't even playing, but I was excited to try to optimize it. Because I like that kind of stuff on there. So I would agree with that. Now, let's see if we can put some stuff to the test on there. Let's boot up. Where you at, Steam? Let's see some of these classes here. Also, we won't go one straight class, so it'll be multi-classing. So it was good to hear. It was good to hear his perspective on the different tiers that things are fun. Whereas like, oh, well, it's really great at tier 11. And it's like, well, we're never going to get to 11 because like, the only thing that we monoclass usually is what? Like fighter and that swashbuckling rogue. Just because that was out of principle. That's because the rest of our team could handle it. Let's check it out. Shadow Sorcerer. Yes. We've never played a sorcerer. I think that would be fun. I'll do a bunch of shenanigans. If it's OP, I like playing it. The one thing that I really like about the Gloomstalker one is the pace of play. You can blow through Act 1. You can blow through Act 2. You can do all of that super fast without necessarily like a ton of skill. We'll skip that.
Who are you?
Okay. Something I learned on the not the last playthrough, but the one right before it, because I was trying to find it, and then we found it on this last playthrough. The Dark Urge, because this is where I was like, I didn't want to miss it, and I couldn't figure out how to find it or anything, but it was there. The Potent Robe comes from Alfira. Down, so she has to survive Act 1, and then you have to get her into Last Light In, and then reunite her and stuff like that for the Potent Robe. If you take the Dark Urge, you obviously Alfira in Act 1. So you can't actually get that Potent Robe. And so we're not going to be doing this, even though it could be fun for the Deathstalker Mantle. Actually, it really could be. I think we want to play a spellcaster no matter what. So, if we want to play a spellcaster no matter what, let's try to get the Potent Robe. Class. Let's look at that Blade Singing one. Oh, it does not say it on here. let's look at speed running some stuff here. What are the things that make us mad at the beginning of the game? Things that make us not have as much fun are usually the slowness of Act 1. How slow it is in Act 1 usually makes us really kind of just bored with everything. We're getting through everything. We're going through the motions at that point. So, if we want to have a different game, then we should play something that's different and use things that are different. We have only done martial characters because they can do damage and you can get gear to make them do... It doesn't matter about them. It's just you get the gear, you do the damage. I think if we want a good balance, I think we go drow or half drow. Is half drow an option even? You go half elf and half drow. Oops. I think we go drow because, well, it's Arizabirth. What is that? Just a big ass dude. I would love a glamour bard. We're gonna be a bard that is 6'8". Just a beefy dude. Looks kind of like I was gonna say it looks like a dude, but it just looks masculine. This is all the same person. That's just a different versions of the same guy. And then that's their little sister. You can only tell because of the hair. A glamour bard that's just like 6'8", beefcake out there. That's Bob the drag queen. And that's not racist. That's just saying Bob the drag queen is a big old dude that is awesome as hell. I watch him in all the shows that he does, whether it's on the Traders or Dimension 20 or RuPaul's Drag Race or anything else that he's doing because he's hilarious. Him and Monet Exchange are dudes. If you met on the street, you would sit there and go, well, I ain't fucking with them. They are gonna whoop my ass. And then they get in drag and it's hilarious. They're good at what they do. That's exactly we should make Bob. I don't think I can contest with those thumbnails though. If I had to make thumbnails for that would be different. Blade Sing Wizard. We don't get to know anything yet because I think we choose it later. Shadow Sorcerer. The other one that was on there was the Cleric, right? Death Domain Cleric. Toll the Undead. This one Enfeeblement and your necromancy cantrips that only target one creature can target an additional creature. That's what he was talking about. Because he was saying, yeah, you can always have an additional like action with that. That might be pretty fun to get started with. We haven't played this yet. I don't know the difference between those. What kind of cantrips we got? These look too nice to be a Death Domain Cleric. So we got Toll the Dead, Ring the Bell impeded doom. If the target is at full health, you deal 1 to 8 necrotic instead. So 1 to 12 necrotic. If the target's at full health, then you do 1 to 8 necrotic. Gotcha. So it's not one or the other. It's just, sorry, it's not just one of those. You're doing one or the This one, prevent target from healing until your next turn. An undead target receives disadvantage on attack rolls. And this one, explode a corpse, causing it to impale those around it. That's just an action, right? Yeah, these are all cantrips. Okay. How about this? What was I excited about? What was I excited to play? Blade Sing Wizard. Because that's so different than what we usually do. And the Sorcerer. So, I think if we go Wizard first, then Intelligence is basically our modifier to everything. Like, that's our spellcasting modifier. The Potent Robe adds your Charisma. So, is there a world where we go Wizard first, where we're using our Intelligence? Once we get the Potent Robe in Act 2, towards the end of Act 2, or the beginning, or whatever it is, then we're basically maxing out Intelligence and Charisma. But as soon as we get to Act 3, we have the Charisma, we have the hat that will give us a 22 Charisma. So if we max out Intelligence here, and then once we get the Potent Robe, we go and max out Charisma and get that, so then we are doing like double the amount of damage that we're adding to it. And we get all the benefits of the other Intelligence-based ones. The only thing about the other route, if we go Sorcerer, then it's Charisma, we max out Charisma. And we're doing great, but there's things in there, like things in the game where you're going to be wanting Intelligence. So if you were to max out Intelligence, that'd be great, but you're going to be missing out. I mean, all your spells are based on Charisma, and so like that, it's going to be not as useful to you until I think around the timing and stuff of what we do. Plus, I want to know the Blade Sing part. All right, let's take a look at this guy. We'll start it up. I think let's go Blade Sing Wizard. We'll see if we like it. If not, we can cancel it. We will go with Drow. Let's go with this one. Oh, Jesus. Are we making the Witcher? Is that what we're doing? Alright. Cantrips. Let's have... I mean... we could do this to get some... I like hitting. Weapons. Daggers, quarterstaffs, light crossbows, rapiers, short swords, and hand crossbows. Let's do it. Let's just do that. Let's do Mage Hand. And let's do Ray of Frost. You can cast it within 60 feet. That's within 60 feet, and that's mana. I mean, that looks like it could work. He said it was too powerful. With this one, let's do... I think Find Familiar is fun. Shield. Ice Knife. Long Strider and Jump. Magic Missile. I wish we could do more damage with this. There's got to be a way that we can go through that and do that. And... do we do Thunder Wave, or do we... What's concentration? Not a big fan of concentration spells. What's this one? Chromatic Orb, and it does thunder. This is Witch Bolt and does lightning. But we deal 1 to 12 lightning damage each turn by activating it. We'll get to learn either one, I think. I think this one may be first. Okay. Acolyte. What's the Witcher? Valkyra? Outlander? He's not a criminal. Yeah. Alright, ability-wise. Intelligence? Yes. Con, to give us a little bit more, what, con saving throws and stuff like that. Charisma. I feel like we go to this one instead. We get higher initiative. To be honest, we don't use charisma that much at the very beginning. Potent robe. We get in Act 2. Is 15 the highest we can, or can we get it to 16? Okay, we can get it to 16 to give us another initiative, right? +3. Because if we're going to be hitting people, I think that makes sense. Insight and Arcana. Arcana's pretty important. All right, spells that we're going to have. Let's do... Shield is good. Ice Knife is good. I mean, for the very beginning, before, like, when we're getting up to level 2, I think that maybe instead of Ice Knife, because all the enemies on that ship are, like, what, 15 points? We'll just do that. This one is 1d10 plus 2d6. This is 3d4. And it has a guaranteed of the 3. Yeah, let's just do that. Okay. Geralt of Rivia. What color is closer to Geralt? Sure. We're not too crazy with it. Scars, he don't got no scars, really. Base one's fine. Maturity, he's old, he's an aged. He's right. He's right there. Body art, I think for our own sake. Throat tattoo. No. Just go with that. Piercing, I don't know if he has any. Eyes. He has purple eyes, doesn't he? Makeup, little guy liner. Hair. I think we already got it, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah. It's awkward to show up with Halsey on the same haircut. Perfect. You're perfect. All right. It's not gray. It's white. Because he's a white-haired witcher. Is that even how you spell it? Geralt of Rivia.
You need a guardian.
All right.
Choose one.
Before we just knock into this one, we gotta roll the dice. Got our dice. Let's use. We used the big one last time. Let's go ahead and use a. Black and purple. Not be good. Where's that? Where's my good boy at? Oh, there he is. We'll use these ones. Can you see it? Can you? Nine. And we also have to choose from a D4. D4. 4. Oh, I guess that one didn't matter. So the first one was a 9. We're going 9 times. Let's see what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's our guardian. So I can't remember exactly what it looked like just now, but I did think I see like a cone head or something going on there. So I love doing it because it's going to hit us with a jump scare at some point in the game. Okay. We'll skip through this. We'll play through the first little part here, see how we like it, and then decide if we're keeping that one moving forward or not. Casually, let's go ahead and...
This is the pool that thing came from. The parasite now writhing behind your eye.
Oh my gosh.
The casing is fragile. The slightest touch could cause it to crumble.
We shouldn't touch it, but we can help ourselves. We're down half of our hit points already.
I feel better. Let's see what this does. Swift as my feet can carry me.
Forgot.
YouTube cuts you off if you go to that scene anymore. Let's go see Lae'zel. Odds of her wearing pants? 0.
You are no thrall. Within days, we will be Geich. Mind flame. Who am I? Your only we can do nothing. First, we exterminate the imps. Then we find the helm and take control of the ship.
Every time.
We will address the matter of a cure for this infection once we reach the material plane.
No pants. Every time. Okay. The biggest dude on the battlefield. We have 7 hit points. 0 to 7. This is an action. This is a spell. Cantrip wise, we have
Time to strike. I will not know failure.
so we are squishing right now. That's what I'm getting. So we get hit. We're close to done.
Swift and lethal.
You surprisingly adequate in battle. Now, to the helm.
It says 0 to 7. But then did more. So I don't know.
Ship won't be able to take another dragon attack. We need to get out before it's too late.
I'm good. Something that we can do real quick. Check these as spells.
Better not be cursed.
Geich machinery. I can make no sense of it.
We'll go through here.
How many hosts has
I
Geich
don't actually think
infected?
do you get XP for that?
Let's have a look.
Let's go in here. Get our dice. Grab that. Do this real quick.
As you place
Change!
Okay. Change that up there.
This to be our fate.
Wait.
Mark the
the console of the but what is its purpose? Sudden then discomfort fades, and another sensation washes over you. Connection. Authority. You feel a shiver. Your mind.
Keep dangerous company. Fair, let me come with you. Shadowheart.
Fine.
She.
Still breathing, despite everything.
Shadowheart, can you give us some? No.
What to do? How much farther can I go? I'll give it a shot.
We are nearing the Hooper Canyon.
Okay, let's. Cast Longstrider on you, Shadowheart. Cast. I'll cast Lay on Sleep on you. Oop, nope.
Not now. We must go.
Sleep on you. Dash. Pause. Dash again. Enter it. Combat. Yennefer.
Do it. We.
This thing's falling fast. Got to right it.
Okay. Shadowheart. Just.
Let me strike true. On I go.
Still breathing, despite everything. These boots have seen everything.
Wait for the cutscene.
And away I go.
The
That's how you
Helm's
skip.
alien transponder. You made it in time.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna need like that flame blade sword or anything like that for Lae'zel, since we're really trying to focus on our build or whatever this is. Can just end up respecking her anyway, but Shadowheart's pretty much worthless. Get up, Geralt.
As you wake, the tadpole squirms in your skull. Okay, and you'll need the tadpole.
One day I'll catch a break.
Shaker.
You're alive. I remember the ship. No. First, we might have escaped. We need each other. Lead the...
Got a fish. Get over here. Get a waypoint. Go up here, grab some XP. Cast jump on us. Basically, you don't have. We can triple our jump distance, but we have low strength. Which one's this? Fire resistance. Yep. So since we have low strength, we can't actually jump very far. So we do need to get somebody that has more strength. Which probably be Lizelle. Over here and meet the old doofus. Get some XP.
You approach the sigil on the stone. Magic.
A hand? Anyone?
A bit shocked.
Say, but I know you, don't I? In a manner of speaking. And I can only assume you too. Most, no doubt. But I find myself hoping to be, as we're most certainly going to need a healer. Oh, so that.
Let's run around this side. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's get some XP down here.
Footprints. There may be even more that survived the crash.
Don't run in the fire, guys.
There. A mind flare.
That thing's bound to be. Let's be careful.
Monster. Death is too good.
All right. Blade singing. Okay. Pick the blade-based weapon you'd like to use as your principal weapon, replacing your quarterstaff. You'll be able to channel your magic through it during combat. Dagger, sickle, short sword, rapier, scimitar, and a long sword. What are we gonna want? What are we gonna want? Do we want to do longsword? I feel like longsword would work. That's what Geralt would do. Let's learn some spells. Let's learn. Mage armor. Thunderwave. And we'll prepare. Okay, we got shield, we got that. Those ones are fine. Instead of using this one, use this one. Gale. Evocation. Make people sleep. Let's go back here.
I want to have a word.
Up there, in the grass. You can kill it, can't there. Shh. And you...
I need him alive.
Now, I saw you on the ship, didn't I? Not?
Do that.
Your mind, you try.
What was that? And to think, I was. My name's Astarion. A pleasure. So, do you know? Although, well, yes, of course. You know all.
Does anybody in our party have enough strength? Maybe Shadowheart?
Try me. Anything of use?
Get some food.
That should work.
Deep grooves in the mud around that rock.
Let's get going.
Get that. Get our 2 potions of speed and the letter. And let's get these guys up to speed.
With haste.
We're gonna come up here. We're gonna head over to Lizelle. Run through the fire, guys. We're gonna come up here, get some more XP.
You think it's dangerous?
The thing's dangerous. Leave it for the goblins to kill.
Your skull pound.
Get rid of. Holy.
Late time, I miss it.
Oh, is it because we're dry? I
Demaze.
forgot. Everybody hates us.
Enough gawking. Get me down. Never.
Observe.
The tadpole has. But the.
Careful. She obviously.
Githyanki protocol is clear. When infected, you're full up. Dismiss someone first. The whole. A crash. I will be at.
Yeah, we got too far to go on those ones. Come up here, we'll get this next waypoint.
I hear shouting up ahead.
We should check it out, but be careful.
We're gonna go up here. We're gonna cast jump. here. Let this play. This thing takes
Nobody.
too long.
What's goblin? Cannon!
Damn and suffer.
Moving. Let's have a little fun.
When you're low level, this fight sucks. Just because it takes forever. I'm thinking the wizard build that we have and the sorcerer together.
Fall, damn you. Have to keep going.
Oh, did you kill that one? Nope.
Let's get this over with.
What is this one again? Invoke the blade sing. You gain, so for 10 turns, you gain +2 bonus to armor class, and your movement speed is increased by 10 feet. You also gain advantage in acrobatics and +2 to constitution. You also unlock Blade Song Climax, the ability to accumulate Blade Song charges in combat. Okay. Is that an action? No? So let's do it. For 10 turns and just see what we do. I didn't get down there and fight. I just kind of want to see what it is doing. We'll leave this guy next to us.
A better position.
Can't we just get in there and mix it up with everybody? Anybody else back here? Nope. Shadow, you just focus on that. Just bless us. Just trying to see how the combat feels.
Good idea, I think.
What is this? It heals enemies and hurts. I mean, heals us and hurts enemies. Okay. Now we're in the middle of it. Find out if we die real quick. Seven. This is. You want to take this one? No?
To the death.
Saren, I'm so used to you having a sneak attack. I don't like this not having sneak attack crap. Also, we have what? 12 plus 8 hit points because of the blast. Oh, we have 20. Let's go.
Bleed for me.
Just take out one of those guys. Yes. Okay, Will, you're dead already? I'm not 100% sure what that's doing.
With ease.
Keep them guessing.
Bunch of ice over here, so don't be falling down.
On the move.
This one. Unleash the full damaging and healing effects of your blade song at once. Your blade song damage charges will harm enemies 1 to 4 to 6. Some heals, all that. What was that second part though? Oh, it'll end it. Okay.
That was the last of them. Inside! Open the gate! Where is the bastard? Damn them.
They were tenacious.
Zella Krug.
I wonder what they wanted here, other than bloodshed.
I just wonder if the grubby little beasts had any friends, and if they're nearby.
What's wrong?
Mark the
Here.
These boots have seen everything.
Necklace has a harper sigil. How did they?
At the back of the crevice lies a bag enfolded in the chitinous squabbling of spiders. A shiny gold coin pokes from its mouth. The creatures clutch the pouch possessively. Is gold so precious to spiders? The spiders scatter, and you step.
Get down here.
Mark table 2.
People up ahead.
Come up here.
The mark glows, but you feel nothing in response. Your illithid power is beyond reach until you rest.
I'm watching.
The injured man locks eyes with you. Useless.
He's your. Do you have orders for us? We were reporting to Edwin.
What?
The key. Soul. Absolute.
Strange power. Why let its host's memories go to waste?
They need to. Vile parasites.
First step is the hardest.
Over here.
Goblins. Dead travelers. Vermin.
Get over there! Surround them like! You spot. Wait, stand there! Apologies, your lordship. Move it, lad!
Ooh, let's get this really close.
The game for surface children.
Come down here. Just want to get some XP and level up. That's 15.
Chaval the...
Let's go down. We're already down here. Let's just grab the waypoint real quick.
Probably getting curled at their legs.
Voices irrit your vision cloud. Then the visions.
My power grows.
Whatever.
Venier Cuba, man.
Welcome, your greatness. I've got some good stuff if you're looking to buy.
Am I looking to buy though?
Been a pleasure, your greatness. Excuse.
Hello.
With the ends. Do us to you. Come. I wait now.
Over here. I'm a tutu.
You led them straight to us, and you let them take the druid too? Unbelievable!
He's right.
What? The human's eye twitches. He's about to blow.
No, barely. Barely.
That's... We need to...
All right, time to skulk about.
I'm...
Those two must have history.
Never mind their history. Let's look for help.
Let's go here. Grab these.
What? Is there anything you need? Act fast if you do. Just some bits and bobs I no longer need.
Featherfall armor. Magic weapon. Oh, a shovel we don't need. We'll need that. Gloves of missile snare.
Sylvana.
On my way.
Let's see what that next level is.
Packet, Auntie Ethel will sort. Hey, bother.
Let's level up. Knock is always a good one. Shadowblade. Wait, is this a... It lasts a long rest and it takes one of those spell slots instead of the others. And then let's do. I don't know. Let's do that. See where we're at.
Hello, Petal. Need anything? Any lotions or potions? Hey, bother. Take.
Just get enough for these guys. I think you should be good. Enhance ability might be actually better. We'll get rid of one. Anyway. Do that. Let's do this real quick.
Hello, Petal. Hey, bother.
Gale. Gale, you take knock, actually. I need somebody to have it. And take that. Let's rock. Starion. Might as well just do this all in one go.
We're exposed now.
Hello, Petal. Hey, bother.
An additional bonus action would be pretty cool. If we had better ones on there. Let's just go with Assassin.
Hello, Petal. Hey, bother. Take care.
Thanks for fighting. My selection's pretty slim. I had to leave most of my equipment in Elturel. Of learned, alas, my offerings are.
Will died.
And again.
We're gonna come down here. Go fight the bugbear.
Pass through. Let my.
Talk to these guys.
You, step back. Will not tolerate. Stop. Another step, and Magram will. It's forbidden to outsiders, Korgers, or keep. You, but a word of.
Here. We're gonna actually get this first. Pick that up. Come back up here. Actually, gotta go to right. While we're running there, we will equip the guidance one, and then you will equip the Atlantis Atlantis.
No time to waste.
No time to rest. Very well. Very well.
Good talk to Tuffet. Throw fish. Get the XP. Run up. Get everybody on here. Staring at you too. We don't need to talk to Squirrel.
Yes,
Do have advantage on.
Let me recite their demise. Onward.
Let's finish this. Moving.
Sometimes the only way out is through.
Can't quite make that.
First step is the hardest.
Hey, you're surprised, buddy. You're not supposed to do that.
No bloom, all doom.
Talk to me.
Survival is all that matters. At the ready.
But let me guess. Your devil mistress sent you. You all care to explain why you reek of the hells?
Because of that.
Well, that's. And I.
A soul.
Stopped me yet. Moving ahead.
Statue of Seluna. This room must have been
So let's do what we have to do, then get out of here. Good. No matter. We don't have time for this. Besides,
The whelp starts singing. Oh!
This area is off limits. Perhaps the guard can be convinced otherwise. The benefit of the doubt can only be bought so many times.
We ain't said you pass! You don't pass!
Are we too early? I feel like we're too early.
We got 'em now, eh? And once the whelp starts singing, you'll know who sent 'em. Oi.
Freshest fish I've ever had.
I don't care. Red meat. That's different.
What have we got? Stop this thing!
The goblins.
What do you want? I mean, what do you need?
The mark glows, but you feel nothing in response. You're a
If you ain't with the Absolute, you're the enemy.
The goblins slink backwards.
What? Come on, Bloodbreath. Let's find you something to eat.
Shadowheart's attempt.
We should keep moving.
Seems simple enough.
Go down here. Get this. Nothing in here, right? Oh, okay. Run back up. Talk to homeboy.
Not the virus any of us have seen of late, unfortunately.
Come on, untie me. Cut me loose! Well, I'm a deep gnome, you're a drow. You helped me, now you plan to What then? Take my pack, if you can ignorant. But I all... On that note...
Go all the way up here.
Do you have someone waiting for you at Baldur's Gate, Astarion? A sweetheart?
Not one in particular. The city is a veritable feast of sweethearts.
You must be eager to get back then. Slimmer pickings out in this wilderness.
So, come over this way. Head on down. Now our mock dancing too. Goes a lot further. Make sure those guys are coming the same way. Good. Say hi to a girl.
What's up for discussion?
Me! Never been better. Oh, fuck me. It's you, from the Nautiloid. Please tell me Now that's a story.
A great heat, then you're the blood.
What was that? I'm Karlak. And you... Well, a little back... You... So... The latest yappy little dog she sicked on me and it...
She's, perhaps a little rough around the edges. But I suppose I can be smooth enough for two.
I'd hug you if it wouldn't score. No room in your party. What should I do? I'll catch up with you.
Maybe I need more pockets.
Wonder when it opens.
We all failed. We all failed. Grab a waypoint. Leave them there. And then over here. I did not mean to do that. Meant to be right here, bud. There you go.
Softer than a whisper. Have to keep going. Chests like that don't hold trinkets. There must be something valuable inside.
Oh, almost. Where's it at? I think it's done.
Best be on my way.
Gale.
What it comes down to is this. Every so often, I need to get my hands on a... And by that, I mean, it's... As luck would have it, you're already primed to give me exactly what I need. Thank you. Oh, a metaphorical demon, I haste to point out, but no less dangerous. And no less bound to wake up again to continue its ravage. Oh, sincerely, though. My...
Okay. Oh, that's what...
Something's on my mind.
This last time.
I'm sure all will be...
grab these while we're here. These are 4 potions of speed, I believe.
Killed those gnolls might be nearby. Careful.
Got these. Come on.
On my way. Don't mind if I do.
The rest of you guys can come join me.
What is it?
How unseemly.
Yeah, you want to get something that's better.
Won't know what hit him.
I have to survive this.
You bless.
Still on my feet.
We will. Yeah. Might as well. I want to see what this is all about.
Where's it running off to?
The witching hour. It shall be done.
Need to stay focused.
We don't want to have you just running. Let's have you. Did we pick up anything? Cast it, but that'll end up right on us. Unless we get it right there on the edge.
On my way.
How's the hyena gonna go tell on us? Yep.
I don't fancy their chances.
I just want to get it.
Concentrate. Got to press on.
It's like, oh, where'd he go? Don't you guys be getting weird.
Another fight. Let's go.
This is good.
On my way.
You shoot from back there. Ugh. You got what? 1 health?
Yes, of course.
My faith will protect me.
And you're almost dead. Okay, that one's gonna go next.
Moving.
Heal.
All right then.
I missed this.
Aaron, you get out of range if you can. Yeah, you're not looking too good.
Die. Please help me.
Level 2 is up to 32 hit points.
Step by step.
Let's end this. Got to move. Not very far. Okay, so
I wonder if the gods are watching me.
I can then dash, because that's one of the actions. And then
You've made a grave mistake.
Shall we dance? Step quick.
here.
In striking distance.
I'm ready. I'm peeked.
Time to kill.
What is it?
Yes.
Please help me.
Feel my mistress's wrath. Heading there.
What you got left, bud? You got 4 left. So how about go?
Heading there.
The last board is set.
We will. How far do we get? Right there. Can we dash? No, we can wait.
Another step forward.
Well.
Something good here, I hope.
We're about halfway up there. Just get this waypoint real quick. This one right here.
Smoke. Something's burning.
Then do this real quick. I'll ungroup and then run in here.
I heard shouting. Someone needs help.
Here we go.
Grand Duke Ravengard could be inside. Don't just stand there. Push! Inside.
We want to do this one because if you leave, or take a rest or anything like that, then everybody dies.
spell trouble. I'll strike you down.
Come!
Want to save her.
You're bold. Now, the rest, and you. By the time aid arrives, it might be too late. I will see this.
And of this one. I mean, it's one we can really use, right? We will go to the other side for the Zentrum later. For now, we'll head to camp. Talk to homeboy.
I shall be here in thy camp for when there are many answers correct. No.
The air is heavy. Your hands shake as they... Your minds intertwine. You sense a touch of uncertainty, a touch of disgust.
I will.
What we got? Who's this? Who's this sexy little beast? Who's this sexy little thing?
I came just in time.
Yeah.
You are transforming. Yes, you have. And I'm here to save you. Don't. You will not become a mind flayer. There is great. I will keep it. A fight for the faith. Wake.
That hair girl. Okay. How far are we? 772. That shouldn't be hard to get. We'll go see what level 4 is like on there. So far, we got a lot of spells, which is good, but kind of wish we had a little bit more. And then this blade song, to figure out how that works. It's kind of like we're getting a bunch of bonuses. Our move class increases by 10 feet. You also get advantage in acrobatics and +2 in constitution. So it's like, all right, boom. It's like a good way you jump into battle and you're like, oh, ready to go. But after that, I don't really know. You also unlock Bladesong Climax and the ability to accumulate Bladesong charges in combat. Charges that can be accumulated for the Blade Song climax. While Blade Song attacking with a weapon grants Blade Song healing charge, and casting a spell at level 1 or above that is not a weapon attack grants Blade Song damage charge. So, a charge that will increase how much you heal yourself and your allies when using. This was in the way. Charge that will increase how much damage you deal with your enemies by 1 to 6 force damage when using that. Okay. So like while we're doing it, we need to attack with a weapon. So we need to attack once like with our weapon and then hit them with something that's not a weapon. And then maybe that we can get a bunch of other stuff. Okay, so we accumulate them. Unleash the full damaging and healing effects of your Blade Song all at once. Your Blade Song damage charges will harm enemies, an additional 1 to 6 force. And then your healing charges will heal your allies for 1 to 6 hit points. Okay, so if we run around with that, we have 10 rounds. If we run around and we like one of each every single time, then we get a bunch of these accumulated and then hit all at once. Got it. Kind of like a Katarina League thing. So, all right. That works. So you don't want to just blow those, but yeah. All right. It was all right. This one is all right. I think that we need to get that sorcery in there because I hate spell slots. And we need to figure out how to get some sorcery points and what is that shield? That shield of the devout or whatever it is. I think it's in Act 2 where there's a ring right there somewhere where we get an extra additional spell slot on there and we can cheese some sorcery points out of it. So get sorcery and then that and then flip them around. Twin spell, like all that kind of stuff. I mean, with Booming Blade, it doesn't cost 1. Shadow Blade only costing a level 2 spell slot. I was wondering if you can upcast this. So it has to remain on our person, but it can be equipped and unequipped. So we can equip something else. If we need it. Okay. Good to know. Because we can also have... this one. Wielder deals damage with a spell or cantrip. They gain 2 lightning charges. Then there's this one here that has Rain Dancer, so you can use Create Water. This one here, +1 to unarmed attack rolls and damage. Wielders not wearing armor, they receive +2 to saving throws. Use that for the meantime. It's a cool looking staff. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And this one. That's pretty weird looking. Use this. I'm not proficient. We can use daggers, we can use quarterstaffs, we can use the longsword. Let's just throw something in there like that. Alright. Okay. we'll go ahead and continue on that one maybe tomorrow, or maybe we'll try one of the other classes, kind of see what we like. Probably let's maybe like look at one of the other classes that he mentioned. Then we'll go ahead and move on to the next one after that, next one after that, next one after that. See how it goes. I think that, you know, there's things that I like about this one. I think that we have to get past like this just level 3, so maybe that's why tomorrow we'll, you know, get maybe level 4 or 5 or whatever. Obviously, you can see by our playstyle we are speed running this because I want to get Act 2 and basically get more XP and stuff and just level it up just to kind of see how it is. Until the weapon is removed, your blade song won't grant any benefits or let it do that. Oh, okay. There's stuff we have to figure out, I guess. But you guys have a good night. We'll go ahead and see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming by.